The talent acquisition budget season is upon us, and I'm going to be discussing where you should be shifting your talent acquisition budget to make sure you get the greatest return on investment, lower your cost per resume and applicant, and dramatically increase the attention your brand gets in the marketplace. Now is the time that you can ensure that you get $1 back for every penny you invest in 2020. If you wait until January, it's going to be too late, and the strategy will be set and the dollars allocated. So stick around because we're going to get started right now. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Speaker Agenda Show. I'm your host, Jeff Weidner, and this week I decided not to have a guest on. Halloween is in a few days, so happy Halloween, everybody. Let's jump right in. We're close to November, and this is budget season. Right now, decisions are being made about hundreds of millions of dollars for 2020 for job advertising and how and where those dollars are going to be spent. There is an attention gap that is growing between job boards, ATSs, and CRMs of the world on one side and candidates and the employers that are looking to hire them on the other side. I see tactic after tactic after tactic being pushed and companies struggling to keep up with the latest and greatest technology that could potentially completely change how they interact with their candidates and applicants and make their recruiting organizations exponentially more efficient than they are running today. Now, here's the thing. In my opinion, all these companies are spending hundreds of millions in advertising to drive candidate traffic when they don't need to be. They're under the false impression that more traffic and candidate sourcing are going to solve their recruiting issues. It's like they're crack addicts. They're all addicted to job boards and social media buying. Their mantra is more traffic, more traffic, more traffic. They can't get enough traffic. But what they don't realize is that continuously driving traffic is a fool's game. It's a never-ending cycle. It's never going to end as long as you are hiring, and you're always going to have diminishing returns on investment if you don't start to do these two specific things in 2020. And I'm immediately recommending that any company that is in the middle of their 2020 job advertising budget assessment pay attention to what I'm about to say. You should immediately begin investing in two specific areas if you want to see continued success in hiring candidates into your company, because it's about to get ugly with a capital U. So, area number one is technology. You need to be pilot testing, integrating, and implementing technologies that specifically allow your recruiters to more closely interact with candidates, or technology that automates repetitive tasks in candidate engagement. And this means both internal and external communications, chatbots, SMS, video landing pages, AI, the whole shebang. Get it up and running fast, figure it out, and get it integrated into your platforms so your recruiters will actually use it. It's not about sourcing and driving traffic anymore. I'm not saying you should shut off every spigot, but it's about time you start looking at what's happening in the marketplace. Right now, more than ever, it's more about what you do with those candidates once you get them on your site. Focus on conversion through brand and recruiter engagement, not through driving more traffic. Otherwise, you're just flushing money and your candidate experience down the drain. Area number two. Area number two is arguably more important than the first area. You should be increasing your employer branding budgets by multiples of 10 and 20x. And I mean employer branding, not some half-assed attempt at using your consumer branding team or your marketing team to coddle together some employee value proposition and some messaging. You see, I've seen internal marketing departments take on this task, spend several months on an EVP, come up with messaging, and it just falls flat. Why? Because they're marketing, and they don't fully understand recruiting and talent acquisition. Creating or evolving an existing EVP and messaging should be a concerted and focused effort done by professionals. Marketing, I'll give you a hint, that little fluff piece that you want to make about the drone flying over the building and the cool audio soundtrack in the background will probably get watched by about 15 people. That's it. And they're all going to be executives at your company, and they're going to pat themselves on and you on the back for a job well done. But it's all smoke and mirrors. No candidate wants to see that stuff, and it provides zero value in terms of candidate engagement and enticing them to learn more about your employer brand. So in 2020, make it a priority. Overhaul your employer brand and how your company is perceived by prospective candidates in the marketplace. Now, here's the key. Why? Why am I making the recommendation to shift from sourcing and buying traffic to candidate engagement technologies and employer branding? Because candidate attention is shifting, and it's shifting quickly. You literally can't be watching this video or listening to this podcast and not understand, or at least recognize, that something is happening in the society today. Plenty of you are watching or listening to this, and you've seen your application rates plummet over the last few years. Job advertising costs certainly haven't been going down. And you're looking at your budget and you're turning off spigot after spigot year after year and telling your recruiters to do more with less. And before you go there, let me make one thing perfectly clear. The decline in candidate application rates isn't solely due to the economic environment and the lowest unemployment rate in the history of the United States. Sure, low unemployment rates absolutely make up a big part of what's taking place. But believe me, I think it's covering up and obfuscating a much bigger problem in the talent acquisition marketplace, and that centers around one thing: candidate behaviors. We have an aging group of talent acquisition executives that like to do things the old way, the way they've always been done. Old school recruiters using post-search and pray methodologies, so they continue to flush more and more money down the drain, and along with it, their candidate experience. Then we've got an emerging group of talent acquisition managers coming up through the ranks that grew up with YouTube, Facebook, and Snapchat. And now, entering the workforce, there's a group of recruiters that have never known life without the internet, and they've never known the internet without access to a cell phone or Wi-Fi. You see, their digital footprint, Gen Z, was started 20 years ago in the womb when their mom or dad posted a picture on Facebook or Instagram. Do you realize that the oldest millennials are nearly 40 years old, and that the oldest Gen Z are born in 1995? They've been in the workplace for 2 to 3 years already. I mean, they're 24 years old. They're like full-on adulting now. And now Gen Z and millennials are dogpiling on platforms like TikTok and other instant gratification, instant communication, instant feedback platforms. And I guarantee you that your ATS and CRM were not built for what's to come. And guess what? You can't and won't be able to keep up. At least not at the pace in which technology is changing and at your current ability to implement change within your organization. You will quickly lose the attention of Gen Z and millennials. And when I say quickly, it's probably going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years. They won't know you, they won't know your brand, and they certainly won't tolerate the communication vacuum that you've created around your recruiters and employer brand. I'm going to be asking you a real quick question. If you were watching TV and sitting back Netflixing and chilling, and a purely 100% text-based commercial started scrolling across the screen, what would you do? Exactly. And that's where 99.9% of all jobs, and that's how they're being advertised today. You're wasting your money with these text-based job descriptions. You're putting up these horribly written text-based job descriptions, wondering why more candidates aren't applying. You're wondering why your ROI in your 2018 and 2017 ads are so much better than the ROI in your 2019 job ads. And you're wondering why these job boards and social media sites can get away with charging you more and more money for every click and every candidate resume they send your way. If you're in talent acquisition and you're an executive making some of these decisions and you haven't started using or trying to figure out how to incorporate candidate engagement technologies, digital marketing, and most of all, video into the recruiting process, it's absolutely ludicrous. And whatever arguments you may have for not transitioning and not upgrading your capabilities, I can tell you they just don't hold water. If you want to solve your candidate traffic issues and your traffic retention issues and your candidate engagement and experience issues, take a long, hard look at where your job advertising dollars are going and start funneling a portion of that to the 2020 budget away from your job ads, away from tactical sourcing, and move it towards engagement technologies, digital marketing, and employer branding. Innovation is all around us, and it's about time that talent acquisition started poking their heads up and seeing what's actually happening in the marketplace. All of our jobs literally depend on it. All right, everyone, that's it for this week. Be sure to subscribe because next week I'm publishing an incredible interview with Kristen Graham from Video My Job, and we're going to be discussing how top organizations are using video in the recruiting process and what kind of ROI they're getting. Be sure to follow the Speaker Agenda Show in full HD video on our website at speakeragenda.com or on YouTube. You can also listen to our podcast at SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Libsyn, and a ton of other places. Just go to speakeragenda.com. At the bottom, there's a bunch of them. And then you can also hit the subscribe button right there, and we'll send you a notification every time one comes out. I'll also put links to all these sites in the description. All right, everybody. I'm Jeff Weidner. I'll see you next week. Make it a great day. Bye.